King Harris posting images of 50 Cent's mother's gravesite on Instagram stories, paired with a heated rant telling 50 to go dig up his deceased mother, instantly set the internet on fire. What makes the situation even more explosive is how a Versus battle that never actually happened somehow led to a photo of Tiny Harris and the gravesite of Sabrina Jackson becoming one of the most talked about stories online right now. So let's break down exactly how everything unfolded, step by step. To really understand what pushed King Harris to post photos of 50 Cent's mother's grave, you have to rewind to where the tension first started. And surprisingly, it all traces back to a Versus battle. T.I. recently revealed that he no longer has respect for 50 Cent because of what went down surrounding their long-rumored Versus matchup. In a clip from an upcoming episode of $1 Million Worth of Game that co-host Gilly the Kid shared on social media, T.I. opened up and explained what was supposed to happen behind the scenes. For some context, Versus was the platform that matched hip-hop legends against each other in catalog versus catalog battles, giving fans a chance to see iconic artists go track for track. For years, supporters have been calling for a T.I. versus 50 Cent showdown. Both artists rose to fame in the early 2000s, both built massive catalogs of hits, and both carried strong street personas that defined that era. On paper, the matchup made perfect sense. According to T.I., the conversation between the two was already settled. He explained on the show that the whole idea was about celebrating each other's music and the eras they helped shape. T.I. emphasized that he didn't randomly call 50 out of nowhere, and the suggestion didn't just pop up unexpectedly. The two were already moving around Los Angeles, performing shows in the same circles and interacting regularly. From T.I.'s perspective, the agreement between them seemed clear. He said that years ago they discussed the concept and even came up with a plan for how the announcement would play out publicly. The understanding was simple. T.I. would be the first to bring the Versus idea to the public, and then 50 Cent would respond and confirm it. That was the strategy. T.I. would float the idea out there, 50 would co-sign it, and the two would take it from there. But according to T.I., that is not how things unfolded. When he finally mentioned the possibility of the Versus battle publicly, he claims that 50 Cent suddenly acted like the whole thing was news to him. Instead of backing up the plan they had discussed, T.I. says 50 played it off like he had no clue what he was talking about. That moment, T.I. says, is where the respect disappeared. Speaking bluntly on the podcast, T.I. didn't hold back, saying he had no interest in sharing a stage with 50 anymore because the respect simply isn't there.
And this tension didn't start with Versus either. The history between these two goes back years. When T was arrested by federal agents and caught with multiple machine guns but ended up receiving only about a year in prison, it raised a lot of eyebrows in the industry. 50 Cent was one of the people who openly questioned the situation. The G-Unit leader even hinted that T might have cooperated with authorities, throwing out suggestions that he could have snitched. Even years earlier, 50 even referenced the situation on his track He's So Tough, throwing subtle shots about the controversy. So by the time Versus started gaining momentum, the tension between these two had already been building for more than a decade. When T began publicly pushing for a battle with 50, it basically reopened old wounds that never fully healed. You had two major figures in hip-hop with years of unresolved issues. And the Versus conversation simply dragged all of that history back into the spotlight. T didn't hold back either. He openly voiced his frustration, questioned 50's character, and once those comments from $1 Million Worth of Game started circulating online, it didn't take long for 50 Cent to fire back. But instead of responding by accepting the Versus challenge or addressing the situation head-on, 50 chose a different approach. T accused him of ducking the battle they had supposedly discussed. Yet, rather than locking anything in, 50 leaned into his usual trolling tactics on social media. He started posting jokes and memes, throwing subtle jabs, without ever stepping into the ring musically. At one point, 50 jumped on Instagram telling T.I. to keep his name out of his mouth, and in the comments of another post, he even referred to Tip as a king rat. Naturally, T wasn't about to let that slide. He fired back online saying, "You playing on my name when only one of us a rat in real life? You know I got your paperwork, right?" He followed that up by adding, "My transcript is available. Online? Your excuse is useless. Get your whole ass in the box or CFU and live in fear. You soft son, you lost my respect." That back and forth basically set the tone for everything that followed. Both men were clearly heated. T.I. was accusing 50 of being a rat, while 50 was throwing the same accusation right back at him. The snitching claims started flying in both directions, and the tension between them was reaching another level. But at that point, the drama was still contained between just T and 50 Cent. No one else had been dragged into it yet. That changed the moment 50 made a move that shifted the entire energy of the feud. He brought Tiny Harris into the conversation. To understand why that move struck such a nerve with so many people, you have to recognize who Tomka Tiny Harris is. She's not just T.I.'s wife. She's an accomplished artist with a legacy of her own. Tiny was a member of the legendary R&B group Xscape. She has a Grammy to her name, and she spent decades building her reputation in the music industry. More importantly, she had nothing to do with the beef between 50 Cent and T. But that didn't stop 50 from pulling her into the middle of it. The situation escalated when 50 shared a post featuring a photo of Tiny, along with a caption warning T to keep his name out of his mouth. Think about that for a second. T and 50 Cent were going back and forth about versus, about snitching allegations, about respect, and old grudges on. Somehow the response became posting a picture of T.I.'s wife. On Sunday, 50 uploaded the photo of the R&B singer with a caption that read, "I keep saying, keep my name out your mouth." According to multiple outlets, the image chosen wasn't flattering. It wasn't neutral either. The way it was framed made it clear the post was meant to mock Tiny, and people online noticed immediately. One Instagram user commented, "Tiny is such a sweet lady. Making fun of her body is just mean." Another person wrote, "Man, the beef, gotta stay between men?" Someone else addressed 50 directly saying, "You normally have me crying laughing, but this ain't funny, homie. She's one of our icons, and she tips wife. You too big for that? And a lot of us look up to you." Even many fans who usually enjoy 50 Cent's trolling felt like this crossed a line. Tiny wasn't the one pushing for a versus battle. Wasn't the one calling 50 out publicly, and she definitely wasn't the one throwing snitching accusations. This whole situation was supposed to stay between two grown men. Yet one of them decided to pull the other man's wife into the conversation. Now, to be fair, this isn't exactly new behavior from 50 Cent. Along with his sharp lyrics, 50 has built a reputation for ruthless online trolling, and his latest move in this rap feud seems to follow a familiar pattern in how he handles rivals on social media. The strategy is pretty clear: mention the family and watch the chaos unfold. The Geonet mogul is known for being extremely petty when it comes to beef, and there's almost no line he won't cross if it means getting under an opponent's skin and making them regret ever going back and forth with him in the first place. In fact, 50 Cent was trolling people long before the word trolling became a popular part of internet culture. Over the years, there's been a long list of moments where he dragged family members into rap feuds. At one point, he even antagonized DJ Khaled by sending him a poem and bringing Khaled's mother into the situation, posting clips that allegedly showed her home and even footage of her sleeping at work. That wasn't the only time. In another feud, 50 also took shots at Finesse 2Times Mother on Instagram. So this has become something of a playbook for him. When a beef heats up, he doesn't just go after the artist, he goes after the family. The wife, the mother, whoever he thinks will spark the biggest reaction. And with the post about Tiny Harris, he got exactly the reaction he was looking for, because T responded. T jumped straight into 50's comments section, leaving a response and finishing it off with the hashtag #KingSaidThat. But interestingly, T's comment wasn't the thing that made this situation explode online. The moment that really sent the story viral came from someone else in the Harris family. Someone younger, someone far less restrained, and someone who clearly wasn't about to let anybody disrespect his mother without responding. That person was King Harris. Now 50 Cent is catching serious heat from King Harris, the 21-year-old son of T and Tiny. On Sunday, February 22nd, the rising rapper took to his Instagram stories and unleashed an explicit, emotion-filled rant after the 50-year-old mogul posted that unflattering photo of Tiny during his ongoing feud with T. And King Harris didn't hold back at all. While T.I.'s response was somewhat controlled, King came in with a completely different energy. He went straight for the jugular. Instead of targeting 50 Cent's music, business moves, or career, King directed his anger somewhere much more personal to 50 Cent's mother. Speaking directly to the camera, King referenced 50's mother, Sabrina Jackson, who passed away back in 1983. He told 50 to post a picture of his own mother and pay his respects, warning him to stop playing with his mama. King made it clear he was stepping into the conversation to defend his mother. And from there, the situation escalated even further as King Harris began launching personal attacks against 50 Cent. King didn't limit his response to just one rant. He continued firing off posts including references to 50 Cent's late mother through both the comments section and a string of Instagram stories. His anger was clearly directed straight at 50, and the tone of his remarks quickly became harsh and deeply personal. Things escalated even further when King brought up 50's mother, Sabrina Jackson, pushing the feud into an extremely sensitive territory. But the video rant was only the beginning. King kept going. Not long after, he posted an image of a tombstone on his Instagram stories with the caption, "This where your mama at." He then shared what appeared to be a photo of the actual gravesite of 50 Cent's mother. In another post, King took it even further, uploading a headstone that displayed the name Sabrina Jackson. That moment is when many people online felt the feud had crossed a boundary rarely touched in hip-hop. King Harris appeared to locate the real burial site of 50 Cent's mother and then posted it publicly for millions to see. From there, King continued flooding his Instagram with more content. He shared another image of the gravesite, showing the names of both 50 Cent's mother and grandmother. But he didn't stop there. King also posted a clip of 50 in court related to a past case where the rapper had been accused of trampling and assaulting 3 women at a concert. On top of that, he uploaded a photo showing one of 50 Cent's sons sitting on his lap. At that point, it became clear King wasn't just targeting one issue, he was digging through 50 Cent's entire history and putting it on display for his followers. After posting the gravesite images, King challenged the Candy Shop rapper to post a photo of his own mother and pay respect to her, while also doubling down on his message that Tiny should have never been dragged into this situation. He questioned how 50 and some of the online trolls supporting him were raised before, once again telling him to stop playing with his mother and go pay respects at his own mother's grave. King even compared Tiny's career achievements to the situation, pointing out that his mother is a Grammy-winning artist and a member of the legendary R&B group XSCAPE. His argument was simple. Tiny Harris is alive, successful, and respected. In the music industry, she helped shape one of the most iconic R&B groups of her era. And according to King, 50 Cent tried to embarrass her publicly by posting that image. So King flipped the narrative. If 50 wanted to bring mothers into the conversation, King suggested he should start by looking at his own mother's situation. Naturally, the internet reacted instantly, and the reactions were split right down the middle. Some people argued that King Harris was out of line and that the situation could have been handled privately rather than dragging a deceased woman into the argument. Others felt King had every right to defend his mother publicly since 50 Cent had already posted her photo on his massive platform. And then there were those who pointed out the irony in the entire situation. 50 Cent was the one who initially brought mothers into the feud, and now he was facing the fallout from that decision. To really understand why, King Harris bringing up 50 Cent's mother struck such a nerve. You have to know who Sabrina Jackson was and what happened to her, because this isn't just about a name on a headstone. It's about one of the most tragic, one of the darkest backstories in hip-hop history begins with Curtis Jackson, better known as 50 Cent. His life didn't start easy. Born on July 6, 1975, to his 15-year-old mother, Sabrina Jackson, he grew up in a tough, drug-infested area of Queens, New York. From the very beginning, his childhood was filled with challenges. Sabrina was incredibly young when she had him, but she was determined to provide for her son on her own. According to 50 Cent, she was proud and never wanted to rely on public assistance. In interviews, he explained that she didn't view welfare or a minimum wage job as a real solution, believing instead that she had to do whatever it took to take care of him. To survive financially, Sabrina began selling controlled substances in South Jamaica, Queens, particularly around Old South Road. Over time, she became a well-known figure in that world. Despite the fact that very few women operated in that environment, Sabrina earned a reputation on the streets and was known to be fearless. Her position in that lifestyle also meant she interacted with people who appeared wealthy and powerful. In an interview with The Guardian, 50 Cent recalled that the only people he saw driving nice cars or wearing expensive jewelry were individuals connected to his mother's circle. They had Cadillacs, flashy chains, and everything that symbolized money and freedom to a young kid growing up in Queens. But everything changed in 1983. Sabrina Jackson's death remains one of the most tragic and mysterious parts of 50 Cent's story. Fernies believed she was the victim of a homicide. Reports suggested someone may have drugged her, leaving her unconscious inside her apartment before turning on the gas and starting a fire. Despite the suspicious circumstances surrounding her death, no one was ever arrested and the case was never solved. For 50 Cent, that moment changed everything. He was only 8 years old when he lost his mother. Over the years, 50 has spoken openly about what happened and how deeply it affected him. He once explained that someone had put something in her drink and then turned the gas on in the apartment. After losing her, He said he often found himself thinking that if his mother were still alive, many of the struggles he faced later in life might have been different. After her death, 50 moved in with his grandparents. Living in a crowded home, with several other relatives, with his father absent and his mother gone, it was his grandparents who ultimately raised him. As he grew older, Jackson started boxing around the age of 11 after a neighbor opened a small gym for local kids in the neighborhood. But at the same time, the environment around him pulled him in another direction. By the time he was about 12, he had already begun dealing narcotics, often leaving the house under the impression he was heading to after-school programs. He even admitted that he sometimes brought guns and drug money to school during those years. The loss of Sabrina, Jackson pushed 50 Cent onto a path that would eventually lead him deep into street life. That road included drug dealing, legal trouble, and the infamous moment in 2000 when he survived being shot 9 times. Yet, it also became part of the story that shaped him into one of the most successful rappers in the world. His entire rise, in many ways, traces back to the moment he lost his mother. Sabrina Jackson was more than just a parent to him. She played both roles in his life. 50 once told Page Six that she was his mother and his father at the same time, describing her as tough and strong, which made it hard for him to always understand when it was okay to show emotion. Sabrina Jackson, the mother of 50 Cent, was murdered when he was only 8 years old. Sabrina Jackson is buried at Rockville Cemetery in Lynbrook, Nassau County, New York. That is, the gravesite King Harris ended up posting on his Instagram stories the final resting place of a woman who was murdered when her son was still a child, a woman whose death has never been solved, a woman whose absence shaped the entire trajectory of 50 Cent's life. Now, does that make what 50 Cent did to Tiny Harris acceptable? Not necessarily. And does that make King Harris post in the grave? In response, acceptable. It really depends on who you ask. But the reality is that when King posted that headstone, he was invoking a history far deeper than a simple internet argument. Behind the name Sabrina Jackson is a tragedy that the hip-hop world has known about for years. Whether King fully understood the weight of that history or not, the internet definitely did. Reaction online was immediate and intense. People were stunned. Others quickly started picking sides. Comment sections filled with debates about whether King had gone way too far or whether 50 Cent had brought the situation on himself by dragging Tiny into the feud in the first place. And while the internet argued back and forth, many people were watching closely to see how 50 Cent would respond. After all, this wasn't a typical rap rivalry. This wasn't another situation like his long-running issues with Ja Rule or his back and forth with Rick Ross. This time, it involved a 21-year-old son defending his mother and bringing up the gravesite of 50's late mom. What's clear is that neither side appears ready to step back. Fans are divided. Some are excited by the possibility of the drama eventually turning into a real musical showdown, while others are simply watching the situation unfold like a reality show. One thing most people can agree on is that the feud doesn't seem finished yet, and everyone is waiting to see who gets the final word. 50 Cent has been trolling people online for more than 20 years. During that time, he's outlasted rivalries with artists like Ja Rule, Rick Ross, Fat Joe, and plenty of others who tried to match his energy on social media. But King Harris is only 21 years old, with very little to lose, and a mother he clearly feels protective over. That leaves the big question hanging in the air. Did 50 Cent finally run into someone who isn't afraid to push back just as hard? Or did King simply give him more ammunition for the next round? Either way, the image of Sabrina Jackson's headstone appearing on King Harris' Instagram stories is something that won't easily disappear from the conversation. For 50 Cent, that headstone represents his mother, the woman who raised him during the earliest years of his life before she was tragically murdered when he was 8. For King Harris, posting it was his way of responding to someone he believed had disrespected his own mother publicly. For now, it seems unlikely that the long-rumored Versus battle will actually happen. Still, the feud has already produced something. L's new music from T.I. Endless, memes from 50 Cent, and a clear warning from King Harris that if anyone comes for Tiny, they should be prepared to hear about Sabrina Jackson in return. That's where things stand right now, and judging by how quickly this situation escalated, there's a strong chance the story isn't finished yet. For the moment though, the images shared from 50 Cent's mother's gravesite after King Harris posts swept the internet exactly how you'd expect, completely speechless.